So last video, we were multiplying by multiples of 10, not powers of 10, but multiples of 10, because we already know how to multiply by powers of 10, but we had to learn how to multiply by multiples of 10. So today, what we're doing in this video is dividing by multiples of 10. Dividing by multiples of 10.
Dividing by multiples of 10.
Let's recap really fast what dividing by powers of 10 looked like. So remember, if we had, where's my pencil? If we had, let's say 1,300 pieces of candy, right? And we needed to divide that by 10 people so that each of those 10 people would get the same amount. Because this is a power of 10, and because these have zeros here, this number has zeros here, all we needed to do was just eliminate one of these zeros, and then the answer would be right here, 130. So that means that if I was splitting 1,300 pieces of candy in equal parts between 10 people, each one of them would get 130 pieces of candy. So that was dividing by powers of 10. Now what we're going to do today is divide by multiples of 10. Same thing that we did with division, but with multiplication, but division. Wait, my tongue is tied. Let me. Okay, again. Okay, I think I'm ready. Here we go. So dividing by multiples of 10. So let's start with let's say that we need to divide 4,200 divided by, let's say 700. So as you can see, we don't have powers of 10 here. We don't have 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, but we have multiples of 10. So this is a multiple of 10. This is a multiple of 10. How do we know they're multiples of 10? Because they end in 0.
Because they end in 0, my fellow brothers and sisters.
What do we do then? So same as when we were dividing by powers of 10, what we're gonna do is eliminate zeros. So we see 2 zeros here and we see 2 zeros here. So basically we can say, oh, I'm gonna cross out these 2 zeros because these 2 zeros these 2 zeros in the dividend cancel with the 2 zeros in the divisor. So what's left is 42 divided by 7. So 42 divided by 7. And that's going to give me the answer to this whole problem. Oh, wait. 42 divided by 7, that would be 6 because 6 times 7 is 42. Right? 6 por 7, 42. So that means that the answer here is 6. That means that if I multiply 700 times 6, because remember, division and multiplication is inverse, it's inverse operation. So 6 times 700 is supposed to give me what? 4,200. Let's see if that's right. 700 times 6. 6 times 0, 0. 6 times 0, 0 y 6 por 7, 6 times 7, 42. Boom. All right, so when we are dividing by powers of 10, we can actually use the same rule that we use with powers of 10. When we are dividing by multiples of 10, we can use the same rule that we used when dividing by powers of 10. Just eliminate the zeros and do the division. For the next example, hold on, I'm drinking a little bit of tea. Okay, for the next example, where's my next example? Where's my next example? Oh, I lost it.
Oh my God!
Oh, here we go. So for the next example, let's divide. Let's say that we want to divide 72,000. No, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. 72,000 divided by 900. Okay, let's say that you have some sort of situation where we have to divide. You have to divide 72,000 divided by 900. Well, again, we notice that we have multiples of 10, not powers of 10, but multiples of 10, because 72,000 is a power of 10, and 900 is a power of 10 because they end in zeros. All right, so same rule. I take these zeros out because they cancel each other. These two zeros cancel these. ¿Y qué me queda? I'm left with 720 divided by 9. This simple division is going to give me the answer to this more complex division because I apply the rule. So this is a simple division that we can do with the algorithm. 720 divided by 9. All right, put these two together and that would be 8 because 8 times 9 is 72. Now I subtract 0, I drop the 0, and remember, you're not done here. Every time you drop a 0, you have to ask yourself again, what number do I multiply by 9 to get 0? That would be 0, and 0 times 9 is 0, and now I'm done. So the answer to this big question was 80, and I found it by solving this smaller division. So that means that if you multiply 80 times 900, you should get 72,000. We're not gonna do it, but you can do it. You can even do it with a calculator if you want. But you will get 72,000. Okay. So as you can see, it's the same thing as powers of 10. Now we have to guess what? We have to do a word problem.
What problem? I don't want to do a word problem.
Okay, so here we go. There are 400 players in the GISD Elementary Soccer Club. They all have to practice the same amount of minutes if they want to qualify in the next district tournament. If there is a total of 3,200 minutes to practice, how many minutes will each player get to practice?
Okay, so as you can see, this is a division problem because of two things. Number one, we notice that we are given the total, okay? It says there are 400 players in the GISD Elementary Soccer Club. They all have to practice the same amount of minutes. Boom, that's a clue. They all have to practice the same amount. Oh, it's talking about the same amount. Each one has to practice the same amount. And then it says there is a total of 3,200 minutes to practice. So they are giving us the total. Remember that when they give us the total, that's a division problem. When they ask for the total, that's a multiplication problem. So here, what we have to do, where's my pencil? Okay, here what we have to do is we have to divide the total 3,200 minutes divided by 400 players to know how many minutes will each one of them get. Now, be aware that I gave you the divisor first in the word problem. Did you notice that? The first number you find in the word problem is the 400, but that's not the dividend. That's not what you're splitting or cutting. What you're splitting or cutting, it's the minutes, not the players, because this is not a horror movie. We're not splitting or cutting players in half. We're cutting minutes, right? So we have to divide 3,200 minutes by 400 students. Now, we notice that we have multiples of 10. 400 is a multiple of 10. 3,200 is another multiple of 10. So we can apply the rule. These two zeros cancel these two zeros. And then all I have is 32 divided by 4. And we don't even have to do the algorithm because we know that 8 times 4 is 32. So each player will get 8 minutes to practice. Only 8 minutes to practice to be able to qualify for the tournament because there are 400 players to split the 3,200 minutes. Okay, so as you can see here, you saw how a huge problem that, you know, if you get this problem in a star and you're not paying attention, all of a sudden you're gonna get all confused and you know, alarms are gonna sound off because you're gonna say, I can't do this. This is too big. But it came down to understanding that 3,200 was the number that you were gonna cut. and 400 players is the amount of players that you have to give a few minutes to. So after applying the rule, you eliminated zeros and all you got was 32 divided by 4. Okay, so when you get these problems and you figure out that it's a division problem, when you read a word problem and you figure out it's a division problem, before freaking out, before starting doing the algorithms and also ask yourself, am I dividing multiples of 10? Am I dividing powers of 10? Because you know this formula, this secret formula that can help you solve it really quick by eliminating zeros, okay? Now, if you're not dealing with powers of 10 or you're not dealing with multiples of 10, then go ahead and do the long division, do the algorithm, okay? All right, so now you know how to multiply by multiples of 10 and how to divide by multiples of 10. In the next video, we are going to tackle two-digit division, two-digit divisor division, ¿ok? Así que nos vemos en la próxima y aquí nos vamos con un poquito de música.
La